Boom, we are alive, ladies and gentlemen. We have a fantastic guest for you today as we dive into all of the overlooked valuable things that are coming up in the fintech and venture capital sector. We stumbled upon Pods Finance today. We have Rafaela, the co-founder and CEO. Rafaela, how are you doing today?
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm doing great.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for saying yes and agreeing to share your time with us. So you've got a background in traditional finance and you've built something here I think that's really interesting. First off, I don't think a lot of people even know what options are. Do you want to let's start before we get into your background and then give us a broad spectrum overview and try to explain as simply as you can to the Bear family what options are.
Yeah, absolutely. So an option is a derivative contract, and basically an agreement between two people. So basically, if we were to do an options contract between ourselves, I could agree with you that in the future, I'm going to buy something from you at a certain price, if a certain condition in the market happens. And then you say, well, that's great. I agree to sell you this optionality, but you have to pay me a premium. And then I'll just say, okay, I pay you a premium. So if what I believe is going to happen, I can actually exercise my option and end up either buying or selling the asset for you in the future. So an option contract is basically just an agreement between two people or two counterparties to do something in the future.
Perfect. Now, I guess while we're just kind of in this circle, I hadn't got a chance to play around with the application, but are you guys going to be doing traditional like theta and vega, like time and volatility decays? Or are these starting off as more vanilla options, like point or like day over day contracts to begin with?
Well, we have started with contracts that were 10 days long, and we intend to make it even longer for future option series. So I guess that responds.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. I mean, I got to play around a little bit on the app last night. One of my favorite things was so you have no options. I thought that was
Sometimes.
yes. Apparently, at that moment, I had no options open. So, you want to start by telling us a little bit about your background and how you came up with the idea for Pods Finance as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So my story actually starts in Brazil in traditional finance. So I started my career in Barclays. It's an investment bank, and they had an office in Brazil for their office, and I was there in the sales and trading desk. That was a really interesting experience. Well, then I moved around in hedge funds and then another investment bank, which was really interesting. And actually, to be honest, like the dream of my life was basically to go work for a really big trading desk in a large fund or investment bank. And I actually got there in the largest bank in Latin America in the trading desk for credit and structured products. And when I was there, I was like, yes, this is the day of my life. I am super happy, excited. But then 3 months in, I realized that that was actually not for me. And the reason why I got disappointed at that point was because I realized that the technology in which the entire market was built and also within the trading desks precisely, it was really archaic. And basically we were running on top of spreadsheets and nothing was really connected and a lot of things were manual. And at that point, I was like, I'm sure that we can do better than this. We can make a better technology than this. And this is going to happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. And when that happens, I don't want to be here. I want to be in the other side. I want to be doing that because that's very exciting to me. That's something I would like to participate. However, when I thought about that, I didn't really know anything about crypto or blockchain. DeFi didn't even existed back then. So in that moment, I decided to leave the bank and start going on an exploration around technology, which I knew nothing about, which is totally okay for that moment. But I was really lucky to meet people in the next company I went to work for that told me about blockchain and crypto and Bitcoin. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this is it. Like this type of technology could just like solve so many problems from where I come from that you know, you had no idea. So basically that was the feeling I got when I approached blockchain and Ethereum and you know, Bitcoin. That was in late 2017. So basically after that, I started working with this team that I met, and they actually became my friends, and we started building like a cryptocurrency exchange for Brazil that was supposed to be really easy, something maybe even like Uniswap for Brazil, and that was really hard. It didn't work. It didn't work. We had to stop doing that, which is again totally okay. But then I got involved in crypto and DeFi, and from there I got to, you know, kind of a more organically get involved with the Ethereum community. And then I guess that I would start then telling you a little bit about Pod's story, because that's where things kind of start getting connected.
Yeah, it's great. Well, first off, I love the attribution. Like so many times when we're starting our dream or our journey, we kind of chase these invisible flags that bring us to the next moment when we're like, oh, well, this is actually not what I thought it was going to be. And the archaic banking system is definitely one of those. You know, being able to see that there's these innumerable amounts of problems, the lack of connectedness within these things. I think GameStop was a huge highlight of that this year. There's just so much opacity in the way that these systems are run. How can companies be like over leveraged short against the underlying asset? Like, but what should basically be considered criminality is taking place because of the inability for these different parties to communicate data freely. So I think you made a good choice to change. And then again, just that ability to pivot, I think, is a really strong signal from any founder to recognize, okay, well, this isn't working or it's not going to work. Here are the reasons why. Where are we best suited to kind of hone in and focus on like a smaller circle of competence, et cetera, as well. I mean, I know I've gone through that a bunch. So tell us about how Pod started and the story to where we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was involved in the Ethereum community, like in blockchain, and I started working for this company called Mainframe. They wanted to build an office in Brazil, and then they invited me to join their team and start the office in Brazil with hiring developers and kickstarting it, which was really interesting. I joined their company. I started Mainframe in Brazil. We started the office, and again, we were really lucky because they decided to pivot to DeFi right after we joined the company, kind of. So, and in DeFi back then was just starting. It was like the early days. So we were like responsible for researching and learning everything and testing out and you know, trying prototypes of different protocols, potential protocols that we could work on in the future with Mainframe. And I guess that learning curve, that exploration phase for us was just so nice that we kind of accumulated so much energy. We wanted to build. We just wanted to build like cool stuff. Like we were seeing really interesting tools coming out, and we just wanted to do something as well. So the team kind of started doing side projects together during weekends and holidays. And one of the side projects that we did was one of the first implementation of options in Ethereum ever done in November 2019 that we know of. And that was like super interesting. We went live on mainnet. It was called Oh My Die. Of course, back then, absolutely no one was talking about options. So also no one understood what we were doing. So
Still, yeah,
was,
that's, I mean, you've got an area where, yeah, but here's the side question before we go further. Do you know who Nassim Taleb is?
yeah,
Have you read his books?
a few, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, he's a fairly famous options trader, and I mean, I think a lot of people, at least myself, one of the reasons why options is such a powerful sentiment is because you can use it as an insurance contract effectively for those moments when everything goes freaking haywire. You can have these really far out of the money puts or calls depending on your position that can really save you in these these times of extreme and extraordinary volatility, where that's where options seems to pay off the best, is in moments of lots of volatility. And you can often see them coming, like before the pandemics, or before the, like, everyone got scared on March 11th, the stock market and Bitcoin were holding out fine, and nobody could see what was coming. And these are the great times to have that, okay, well, let's insure the account to the downside here, so that no matter what happens, we could take advantage of that volatility and maintain our initial exposure through whatever spot positions we buy. So I think, yeah, generally the bigger funds will know how options work, because if they're smart, they'll use it as insurance for their underlying spot positions. And then you've got those, again, just that visibility for potential volatility coming into the system. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to jump in for a sec. So yeah,
No, absolutely.
nice. So you're going through, you're starting to build the company in 2019. You're the first options platform out there. Yeah, that's where we were.
Yeah, of course. No, actually, that was just a side project. We were still working with mainframe back then, and then from there we went to ETH Denver. Yeah, we went to ETH Denver in February 2020, which was really interesting. We expanded on Oh My Die initial contracts. Like, we built options that was put in calls for volatile assets, creating a straddle, which is like kind of, we were interested in creating a structured product for hedging against volatility for either sides, up or down. And then that was really interesting. We were one of the finalists. It was like a life-changing experience, I would say. ETH Denver, highly recommend to all developers out there that are interested in building cool stuff in DeFi and Ethereum. Go to a hackathon. Then after that, after ETH Denver, we were just kind of in this phase of like falling in love with that possibility of creating something new and in pushing the limits of what we were doing. And then we of course talked to the company that we were working for, and it found a way out of mainframe and started pods. So when we started pods, basically we started with the understanding that right now in the world, even in traditional finance, there is no clear hedging company. Like, when you think of hedge a price of whatever asset. When you think of hedging the volatility of an asset, you don't think immediately of something. Like, it doesn't click anywhere. Because right now, hedging is something really complex. Like, it's something that most either private bankers will do for, private banking clients, or for like really big corporations and things like that. And even if they are sometimes tailor-made for each client's necessity. However, with DeFi technology, we can actually create a framework and a system where anyone in the world can just go and find a hedge for the asset that they hold at any time. And I think that this is actually really, really interesting from the point of view of like business development on either like other new businesses out there. Like someone is doing a company that has euro exposure, and this person is from Brazil. This person is actually really scared of what can happen with the euro price towards BRL, because that could basically ruin their plans in their business. But if they could actually hedge that in an easy way, which they right now don't really have many possibilities if they're a small business or a medium business within the traditional finance, system, they could actually find that within DeFi and make their plans like more safe and feel better about that.
Yeah, I think it's always one of these difficult ones too. I mean, to bring Nassim up again, the understanding that at one point the markets are going to have extraordinary amounts of volatility, and how do you prepare for that volatility, knowing that it will come, but not knowing when it happens. I always thought it was kind of ironic that a lot of these bigger banks, probably even some that you've worked for, they have all these outdated methods of risk and always seem to miss the moments of like, okay, well, September 11th, 2001. It's like, well, no one could have foreseen that coming. No, not the particular moment, but we could see that volatility like that has happened over and over and over again within the markets, right? So It's this weird kind of moment where you want to have insurance for your house before it catches on fire, not until it's
Absolutely.
on fire.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting because we already have that culture with our housing or, cars. When you buy a car, you also buy an insurance for it, and you don't really think much about it. Like, you just, it's there, you just buy it, because you never know when something can happen. And we already do that with goods, like with housing or cars. Why don't we do that with our investments? We should, right? I mean, we have your retirement there. How come you save your house, but you don't save your retirement? You should be taking care of all of that.
Yeah, I think part of it too is from not just the arcane setup in the older banking system, but conversations like this. That even I think probably even in an advanced bankers like room, you could go in and talk about options, and most people in that room probably don't know how or why they would work, or why you'd want to just consistently throw small amounts of money away. Because that's I mean that's where options I've seen work the most effective, where you're spending month over month over month and pretty much always losing money. But in the moments when you have that extraordinary volatility coming through, you're like, yay, it's that insurance paid off. My house is on fire, and now I'm getting this recursive payback. And I think a lot of people, especially on the trader floor, look at using options to make like a day or a swing trade. And I think options work best as an insurance platform. And it's, I think in general, because you have such an archaic or an arcane conversation around how these things function. Like options is not an easy thing to understand. You're like, oh, I got this theta, this time decay, and this vega, this implied volatility function. Like it's not an easy standard. It's not like, oh, I'm going to buy and sell something, right? Like I'm going to buy something and then I'm just going to lose money consistently. Like, but I think a lot of people understand that even at the trade desk in some of these bigger banks. So how do you feel? You're obviously very well versed and like to explore new ideas. What are some of the problems that you see in the blockchain world right now that we're running up against, that need to be solved to help pods scale to where it can be let's say a more of a global product, or maybe even built into some of the front end products?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that right now within like the Ethereum community, we have many things to develop. For instance, I guess, and to me, this is super exciting because it means that we're really building this industry as we speak. Like if we don't have yet a math library that we can use in our implied volatility calculation, that's because this is so new that it's not ready yet. So we have to build one, or we have to use one that a friend built, or something like that. So to me, that's exciting. And I think that there are many of those tools that we can use and make it better for our development and growth over time. One thing that I am generally concerned about, like maybe because of my banking background, I don't know, but like I'm generally concerned about risk and systemic risk and things like that. So I guess that it was great that we saw like a really drawdown in the markets and DeFi hold up together and nothing exploded, and that was great. I think that that's awesome. It's a really good sign. And so moving forward in DeFi ecosystem, I would like to see more risk tools, like risk adjusted tools, not necessarily risk on your portfolio, like buying hedge, but actually like how can you make your smart contracts more secure? This is something that keeps me up at night. Like how can we make our smart contracts more secure? Is it honestly, there's really little way for me to tell you that I would ever be able to make it completely secure, because it's just like it's not like that. It doesn't work like that. It can always, the code can have an update, or something can change in the market. Someone can exploit finding another possibility using another protocol. So I don't even know exactly what that means. Maybe that's a tool for testing. Maybe that is a tool for testing like the entire ecosystem. I don't know, but I would really like to work on and learn more about risk management for the overall space moving forward?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. First off, we'll go back to the we're early. You're 100% correct. This is still early on in this ecosystem, and it's probably one of the most expansive opportunities for individuals. The fact that let's say, with Ethereum, the original launch of Ethereum, it's a venture capitalist playground. Anyone in the world can participate. It used to pretty much be you had to live in Silicon Valley and like go to the same dinner parties. Otherwise you ain't getting in into the private deal club. Whereas now that, everyone's working at home, everyone's getting used to doing stuff on Zoom and online, and there's just this incredible amount of opportunity. And it just goes to show how, again, like you're saying, how early we are, because there's a lot of the normal infrastructure isn't there yet. Now, one of the other things that kind of came to mind is the tweakability, like, security, obviously, with any large amount of funds is hugely important. But one of our internal guys, he had a big Aave loan, and it was about to get liquidated. And he found this way to do a flash loan to the Aave contract, so that it only drew down to keep it at its equivalent, like 150 ratio or whatever, so that they were able to flash loan and sell, and he only lost a little bit instead of losing all of it. It's like, well, how is that not already a built-in function? Like, you've clearly got the opportunity of building multiple pieces together. Like, okay, well, we can take what they've built over here, we can install it into our program here. So we're seeing just early kind of like DOS type building blocks being put together in the monetary system. So you're a really inspiring story. You grew up in Brazil, correct?
Correct, in the countryside.
In the rural area.
Well, it's not rural, like
you said countryside, like I show you my countryside. There's no houses out here. My fiber cable runs through trees.
Well, I lived until I was 12, about 12 hours away from Sao Paulo, and then I moved to another city that was 6 hours away from Sao Paulo.
And how did you, where did you start coding and developing and getting an interest into programming?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I'm not a developer, so I didn't really get so interested in coding. However, that's not true. I did get interested when I joined the tech company I mentioned before. Back then, I was looking into a little bit of JavaScript, HTML, and CSS, and that was like interesting, but I realized that it was not really for me. So I found more joy, or I found my time more productive doing other things. So I kind of left the development for the other team members.
Yeah. Well, as a good CEO, you need to be able to pretty much know how to do everything, so you can tell if somebody's making a mistake. You're like, wait, I can at least see that you're making a mistake right now. I'm not going to do that. It's always good to have a nice macro perspective of what's going on. So from a side point, living in a foreign country, you speak great English as well. Do you have any advice for entrepreneurs coming up from a country other than the United States, trying to build something like this? Do you have any like emerging insights that you want to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if this entrepreneur is thinking about crypto and DeFi and probably Ethereum, then there is absolutely no barriers for you to start right now today. Like, and don't ever think that you need to be somewhere to do something. Because if crypto showed us something, it showed that it doesn't matter where you are or who you're from or who you are. Even you can be an anon on Twitter. It only matters how good your work is and the effort you're putting in. And it shows. Like, it shows if you're putting like the best you can and going through to your extreme, like, because you believe in something or because you have this idea you were developing, it shows, and people are going to help you. Like, this is one thing I love about this community, is that if you reach out and ask for help in something that you have been working on, or in something that you really believe, and of course that you have been putting in a lot of work, people are going to help you. So reach out, be part of the community, go there, ask for help, or even like interact with other people, help the others, and help will come for you.
Yeah, that's a big sentiment. helping other people. One of my strongest business sentiments was learning that you go out of your way generally to help people first, and then you get paid back. You don't think about getting paid back, just think about consistently going out and trying to find out, is there a problem here? Can I solve that? And then just solve the problem. And this is almost a direct way to some line of payment. Although that shouldn't be the aim, it's a great leading force. So I just really quickly, I wanted to kind of pop this open for everyone to see. So for everyone that's interested, go to pods.finance. You can use the DApp here. This is where this funny little comment that I liked will go accept and join. We are not a US resident. That's true. Where was this one? In the pool? Was it in pool? You told me? Yes, sometimes no options. I thought that was hilarious. So again, you guys have a great setup here. It looks really nice. I didn't jump in to try to play with it yet, so we'll do that. But everyone go to pause.finance. You can also find them on Twitter at pause.finance. Let's go here. Let's see. We made an earlier mistake. So there's Pods Finance as well. Make sure we get it right this time. And the other one, yours, which is Rafael Baraldo.
Yeah, that's my name.
Nice. I don't know why I'm not following you. There we go. Make it fair. So be sure to check them out on their social media channels as well. Now, currently, what's running, is that just a beta that we were looking at, or is that a fully functional version of the platform right now?
Absolutely. So first thing, we have been testing since March 2nd. And since then, we have changed some things. So either we found something here that needs to be fixed, or we changed something in the UI. We have been improving since then. And at some point, we tested a lot and we were like, okay, now let's test with real money. Let's test in a mainnet. So we went to Polygon and we did a demo release. So the demo release took place 2 weeks ago. It was a 10-day option series 2 for Link and for Matic. And we were lucky enough that both options ended in the money. So we got to test all the flows, the exercising flow, removing liquidity flow, and that was amazing. Again, we found some things we need to fix and work on, and we are working on that right now, so we can put live another demo release. Why I'm talking about demo releases? Because first, we've changed a lot of stuff since the last audit, which was QuantStamp in February. And we want to make it safe for users. However, we can't stop our testing in discovering what we need to fix. So our next cold audit is going to start next week. So we started testing with the limit amount of volume that can be in the platform. So basically, why is this a demo? Because it's an unaudited version of the contracts, like it's not fully audited, and users can only interact so much with the contract at this point.
Yeah, that's important. I mean, it's better to roll out in phases and make sure you get it absolutely right. No sense in trying to scale up too quickly and then not being able to meet the demand or having parts fixed. I mean, Avalanche had a moment where they didn't fumble the ball, but Pangolin and the bridge that they were using fumbled, and it looked like it's Avalanche's fault at that point. You want to stay away, make sure you got as much as the testing ground hit before you get too many people paying attention. So now, what does the next 3 to 4 quarters of growth look like for Pods?
Absolutely. So we have been extremely focused on the protocol itself, on the logic, on the code, the material we're putting in, all the studies that we're doing on top of the protocol economic system, what can happen, what an LP could expect to see in returns based on different scenarios. And I guess that now we are approaching a phase where we did a lot of research on this and tested a lot. So we're putting it out at this point and getting feedback and learning from people where they want to learn more about, like, what can we build together. So in the next phase for Pods are basically going live on mainnet without the cap. And it's likely that we may even start with the cap and then start slowly increasing it and then removing. And then after that, or not after that, but actually like really soon, start integrating with other projects that want to build cool structure products or other things with us. So participating in hackathons, events, and starting interacting more with the community of builders to build with us. So I guess that's going to be our focus moving forward.
Awesome. And did I see on your guys' website that you're looking to hire as well?
Well, yes, we were hiring, and as we were approaching the launch dates, we decided to pause the hiring positions, to be honest, just so we could focus more on the launch. But really soon, we're going to go back looking into hiring positions.
Okay, so for all the developers out there, be sure to follow Pods Finance for when they say we are hiring. What about there's so many new innovations on layer run protocols. Are you guys married to Ethereum, or are you looking at scalability issues and the potential of other chains like Avalanche or Solana?
Well, yeah. So our demo release was in Polygon, right? So that was like really interesting to see that we had a lot of traction from like different addresses and even small numbers. Like some people were buying $1 worth of an option, and they were actually able to do that because it made sense for them because I don't know that the fees are so small. You can never do that in on mainnet, right? Which is sad. However, I guess that our approach to where we're going to launch is a more general approach of like we're going to launch where it's working and where our users want to use us, because like in the end of the day we want to do something that users are going to use, right? That's it, what we're doing. So if they are in Solana, if they are in Polygon, if they are in Arbitrum or Optimism, then that's where we're going to go.
Yeah, I think you made that point earlier by saying we're still really early.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't even know where everyone's going to end up yet. That's the crazy part. We're back in beta phase for the entire DeFi sector. Again, I think you guys have a really cool product. I'm a big fan of options. Again, I like the idea of having insurance for larger portfolio plays. I think it brings a lot to the table. Seeing the decentralization of everything in my mind is just a strong vote of confidence of distributed systems make more sense, whether it's small nation state or like little like municipal governments. Every time you get too big, you just lose the kind of the nature of the beast, especially for the individual user or the individual community member, I guess. So I think you guys are building something really cool. Our tech team loved it as well. So I know nothing about technology. You could show me a totally broken code and I would be like, oh, it looks great. So luckily tech team took a look over it as well. It looks fantastic. So we'd love to have you back on the show as you guys go into these mainnets. Let us know if there's anything else we can share. Is there anything you would like to leave the Bear family with for like a call to action, somewhere where they should check you out or follow you guys to keep up to date with everything you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys are interested in options or structured products or hedging, follow us on Twitter and join our community on Discord. We are like live there talking to people, which is super cool and interesting. Send your questions, like send every question that you have. Everything that we can do to help you with any of those topics, we are going to do it. And also about DeFi, like our team is like absolutely passionate about DeFi. We breathe this thing. So if you want to talk about DeFi, you can feel free to join our Discord and talk about DeFi with us.
That's perfect, Rafaela. I'm super excited. Thanks for coming on the show today. Remember, Bear family, give us those thumbs up. Be sure to follow Rafaela and Pods Finance everywhere that you possibly can. Stoked to see these projects and products come to life. So we'll be keeping a close eye, and let us know in the future if you want to come back on the show. We'd love to have you and hear how everything's going. Looking forward to seeing the shining star of Pods Finance as we move forward. So thank you, Rafaela, and Bear family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.